And you're good, Jack.
I want to start off with some good news on a couple of fronts. We'll get this out of the way. We covered these stories yesterday and the day before. Good news is the a-hole mall Santa got fired, and the crazy Oregon teacher got put on leave. I mean, that's the best you could hope for. I'm assuming she's in a teachers union, but that incredible that lunatic in the Subaru who was flipping out on the anti-lockdown protesters who just want to go to work, just want to open their businesses. She's an elementary school teacher, of course, and she said, "F you, you're killing my students' families and all that." That she's been put on leave. Her job will be saved. She's a union member. But the mall Santa, who said, "No guns for you, kid." that dink. Not only did they get rid of him, how demeaning is that? How demoralizing is that? You're a mall Santa, a grown man, and you're trying to make a living, and you're a mall Santa, and you get fired. I mean, you've seen Billy Bob Thornton.
You know what? He'll probably make more money outside of that. My sister every year hires a Santa to come see the family. This guy will make more money doing it on the side.
I saw him. He was not a great Santa. He didn't look the part. Obviously, didn't sound the part. Obviously, he's a Karen. He's a nosy, liberal a-hole telling the poor kid, "No guns for you." And it obviously, you knew right away that it'd have a happy ending. Obviously the kid was in tears. He walked away. The mother was polite, but she was, disgusted with this guy sticking his nose in their business. If someone's going to say the kid can't have a Nerf gun, it should be mom or dad. And they're normal people. We saw them on Fox and Friends this morning. They're normal people. They don't mind if their kid wants a Nerf gun. So the mall sent another Santa and a gun to the kid's house. And I'm not sure how they explained it to the kid. Hey, Santa's here, but it's not the same Santa. And guess what? He brought you what you wanted 2 weeks before Christmas. Anyway, the video has gone viral. Kid opens the gift. He's very happy. I think it was Hasbro. Hasbro makes Nerf guns.
Yep.
Which is amazing. Nerf guns have been around, since I was that kid's age, and they're still going strong. They look a little cooler now. They look like, machine guns, and but every kid should have. I can't
figure out how to use the damn things anymore. They're pieces, and it's crazy.
Every kid should have a Nerf gun. It's part of growing up, and this kid is going to have about 50 of them. He's going to have more guns than Charlton Heston. Shattuck, give him time.
Nerf guns are awesome now. They're awesome. We've got a bunch of them, and they come with big clips. And I've got a little yard up here, and the kids run around, and I have the high ground and the Nerf gun, and it is a wonderful way for a parent to blow off steam. I highly recommend. They've come a long way, Jerry, since we.
I don't know how to break this to you, but that's how Adam Lanza got to start, Shattuck. I think you got to be careful. No guns.
Oh. Gateway gun?
Yeah, it's a gateway gun. I mean, nobody can watch that Santa and think that's appropriate for him to tell. First of all, you don't have to do it. You don't have to get the kid the gun. Your job is just to pretend you're Santa and tell the kid he can have whatever he wants. It's up to the parents whether the kid gets the gun. And the mother corrects the Santa and says, "No, he's talking about a Nerf gun." He goes, no guns at all. No. I'm like, what?
Right. Your job as that Santa is just process the kids. You got 500 of these kids to just go. Just process the kids. Don't have an odd set of moral standards that you decree from up there. You're getting paid $11 an hour. Just process the kids. Tell them yes. A renowned writer, Jerry, named Jeremy Gordon, who was part of the Brooklyn Loft party set, tweeted, "I know it's been this way for a while, but advances in Nerf technology are extremely unsettling. Over the weekend, I caught a commercial for what's just a color-swapped assault rifle."
No.
Yep.
Well, that's why when you describe Nerf guns as awesome, I was thinking in my head, do you really mean more dangerous, actually? Is that
not the Nerf is still right. Nerf. It's not like they're real, but they do look very cool. And maybe it is a gateway. Maybe a kid gets into guns and maybe he joins the military, becomes a war hero. Maybe he's the next Chris Kyle. There's good things that come of this. But he's going to have so many Nerf guns, he's not going to know what to do with them. I assume he's going to give them to all his neighbors and friends and cousins because there's a whole bunch of right wingers. Dana Lash sent him one. The mall sent him one. Hasbro is chiming in, and they're probably going to give him their whole lineup. This kid is just going to be armed to the teeth.
Dana Lash, who got yelled at by Jake Tapper in Florida. Meanwhile, the sheriff who sat there, in his car essentially, he had praise heaped on him by Jake Tapper for being brave.
For being brave, that sheriff, that coward Israel, who hid out, and while what was how many kids were murdered in Parkland?
20 something. I forgot.
And hid out. His video of the other officer hiding, the guy who's still like fighting for his pension. It's disgusting. And Jake Tapper, a former anti-handgun activist, that was his job, his full-time job. He worked for an anti-handgun outfit. He's a real impartial journalist. We'll get to him and the rest of CNN. Here's when I see like the mall Santa and the crazy teacher, and now Eric Swalwell, we'll get to him too. What a clown and what a story. I think of that dink Jimmy Kimmel and Jimmy Fallon and Steve Colbert say, oh, this is going to be so boring. We're not going to have anything to joke about. Let's be honest. I mean, Trump can be entertaining, but he's one man. It's not like he's surrounded, not like, his whatever. Melania wasn't a lot of laughs, or Mike Pence wasn't a lot of laughs. Maybe, these guys are such rump swabs that they don't want to make fun of Joe Biden, even though Joe Biden, like I say, makes up a new word every day. Yesterday, the new word he made up was the name of his cabinet choice, this radical nominee for HHS. He couldn't pronounce his name, so I'm not even going to try. But anyway, he stumbled
and education, Jerry.
He didn't know the name. He didn't know the name of the cabinet post, the job, or the guy's name. But he's very much supportive, loves the guy. But every day, can you imagine if you were an actual comedian? And I realized there's none of those left. That their job is, as someone said yesterday, it's an extension of the evening news, but not as funny. When you watch Kimmel and Fallon and Colbert, it's like watching, Lester Holt. It's just not as funny. They all they do is the news, and it's slanted and it's biased. But you have, just in this one day, you have a mall Santa, nosy Karen mall Santa, telling his kids, no Nerf guns, no Nerf guns for you. You have this crazy teacher with the double middle fingers screaming at protesters who want to go to work, telling them, F you, I'm an effing teacher. And she went global.
She was in a rage, Jerry. It's like somebody gave Jen Royal a bad restaurant review. Like,
and it wasn't even, and they weren't even like confronting her. She was just driving by, and she flips out, holds both, and does it for the camera. The camera's on her. And she's a teacher, which means, she went to college. She's supposed to be reasonably smart. You would hope if you got kids in that school. She's so stupid. She thinks she can do that and somehow not, get caught, not get outed. Well, she did. And even in crazy commie Oregon, they put her on leave because that's not a good look. Not a good look. As I tweeted, there was somebody scheduled to have a parent-teacher conference last night with that nut. Imagine showing up to have a conference with your kid's teacher, and it's her, and you go, oh, you.
I was oddly attracted to her. I don't know, but
that was one of my first thoughts when watching like the mall Santa guys. He's projecting like his opinions, obviously trying to mold this young kid. Are you telling me that psychopath in the Subaru isn't doing that to kids all day?
It must be. And I think one of the other, positive things to come out of this whole crazy pandemic is a lot of people are being exposed. Let's be honest. A lot of people are being outed. And the teachers unions especially, but a number of individual teachers are being outed. The ones who don't want to go to work, the ones who lie and say, you're going to kill me, or, the ones who showed up at the protest with the gravestones and said, you're going to kill us all if you make us go to work. This was 9 months, 8-9 months into the pandemic, when the people at Walmart and Whole Foods and Amazon and Target had all gone to work every day. That's when cops and firemen and EMTs and nurses and doctors had all gone to work every day. The teacher said, if you make me go to work, I'm going to die. You learned, you saw the true colors of a lot of people like that teacher, like that Santa. And you say, I'll give you a better one. And I know it won't matter because Democrats don't care. They don't care that their people, their representatives are liars and are complete cynical, schemers like Nancy Pelosi. Now, we know Nancy Pelosi held up the stimulus aid for people. We've seen all the people who are struggling. We played the restaurant owner from LA, and we played, I've talked to restaurant owners and gym owners who have been put out of business, and the leading Democrat had the money, almost how much was the last stimulus?
$3 trillion was the compromise.
3 trillion was like 2.9 trillion.
Right.
And she held it up. She admitted she did it to stop Trump. So there were people literally, in lines at food banks begging for help. We've seen or heard from a number of them. And she said, no, our goal is to hold up this money, not our money. It's your money. It's taxpayer. Hold up this money in hopes of defeating Trump. It worked. She defeated Trump. And now she's agreeing to a package that's, like almost half of that one because,
right.
Who cares? We accomplished our goal. We stopped Trump. Meanwhile, you see restaurant owners, you see gym owners in tears, losing their homes, losing, getting kicked out of their restaurants, losing their life savings. Because this cynical old witch, this evil woman from San Francisco said, nope, the goal is to get Joe Biden elected. The hell with you. Again, it won't matter. I mean, I think it was Dana Perino saying, the voters will have their say on this. And I'm thinking, are you kidding? The voters don't care. She's from San Francisco. She could, doesn't matter.
Well, not her voters, but there's certainly purple seats could be flipped in 2 years. I think they will, absolutely. The fallout from this is going to be felt. You're right. She's destroyed lives and businesses. We talk about 40% of Massachusetts businesses folding now. I think that's going to certainly tick up now. And people just needed relief. And she could have done it the entire time. And she said, screw it. And now, Jerry, talk about the party that's supposed to unite us. This is what they're on to now instead of bailing out those businesses.
What? As you can see, these folks have great futures, but they're burdened by debt. We want to remove it.
College debt, $50,000.
Their priorities on day one are making all, DACA kids. The average DACA kid is like 30 years old. The DACA kids, making them all legal, making it tougher for Americans to get jobs, the unemployed Americans. Their other goal is to make sure biological boys who identify as girls get to play sports and kick the crap out of girls, and to forgive all the rich punks that went to Wesleyan and majored in lesbian dance theory, and took out $100,000 in loans. Make sure that the guy, picking up your trash today, as part of his paycheck, seized from him and given to the Wesleyan grad who can't afford the stupid loans he took out.
Right.
Those are your priorities. But again, hey, Shattuck, at some point, you and I and every reasonable person has to throw up their arms and say, that's what the country voted for. Now, I realize it wasn't 80 million. They did their best to cheat, but a lot of people voted for this student debt forgiveness, voted for, transgender rights, voted for more illegal immigrants, voted to stop the wall, voted for extend the endless wars. They hated Trump so much. They really don't care that the damage it'll do to the country now that Trump's out and Sleepy Joe is in. It's kind of discouraging.
First of all, I think that they didn't vote for it. Obviously, in offices in legislatures across the country, the Republicans did well. The Republicans gained seats in the House this time around. They voted against Trump because they thought he was a jerk, but they voted against crazy progressiveness too. The problem is that these people hold a gun to your head in certain towns, and so it's like this gerrymandering with a threat of violence against you if you dare stand up to them. But I think they did vote against it. This college debt relief, that's the political civil war right there. You cannot give the most privileged section of this country free money for the hell of it, while those people who did the right things are just told to, shut up and take it. That's absolutely ridiculous. And these are kids who get driven to school in Range Rovers who are going to suddenly get $50,000. What are the colleges going to do once you start really giving $50,000 to everybody, Jerry?
Jack up the prices once again. It is amazing. Right. There's no mention of the colleges contributing to this at all. The colleges who have billions If you spent any time on college campuses, in the last couple of years, they're all expanding. They have so much money. They have orchestrated one of the great schemes of all time. They have jacked up their prices, and kids feel obligated to go to the schools because it costs $70,000. It must be good. I'm going to go to BU, even though even though the place educates, graduates morons like AOC and Alex Reamer. They're going to go there, pay $70,000. You can't afford it, but hey, the government will give you a low interest loan. Take it out, and guess what? In the end, you don't have to pay it back. It's a great scheme.
Oh yeah,
and no one benefits more than the schools. The schools which have billions in the bank, as we pointed out many times. Harvard has $40 billion. And by the way, they're applying for PPE loans and getting them. It's a great scam, and you never hear any of the politicians call them out because they benefit. I mean, God knows, Liz Warren made $500,000 to teach one course. Yeah. They know whose palms to grease to keep
absolutely
the gravy train running.
Yes, and part of this huge program that Schumer wants, not only is going to give you $50,000 to forgive some of your college debt, but it's also going to encourage you to enroll in college. Right. So at the same time, they're saying, get on in there, get on into the factory. Absolutely. And the thing is that like Alex Reamer and AOC, when they went to BU, when they went and they saw the brochure and they saw, what would happen if they graduated with a degree from that school, they thought they'd be making a lot of money, and they were going to make a lot of money and look at me and you and say, F you, I'm here in the gravy train. I'm going to move to Wellesley, Massachusetts and have a great life. I never want to see Jerry or Tom again. Screw you guys. Screw people who work for a living. But they chose the wrong degree, and now they're coming to us and saying, no, it's on us now. The people who they were going to leave behind, but it's on us now to make sure that they, enjoy the middle-class lifestyle that they thought they could enjoy without having to deal with us.
I wonder, how many people now, students now, are contemplating whether to get a loan or not, and how many are contemplating whether to pay back? I mean, I assume most of them took it out and in good conscience said, I'll pay it back. Every month they pay it back. Are they all stopping their payments right now? Because I would, if you're a recent college grad and you got to punt every month, you're paying whatever, $100 to pay off your loan. Are you just stopping?
Well, there is some COVID relief for them anyway this year, obviously, just like there is some mortgage relief for everybody else, et cetera. But certainly I would. I mean, we're not paying some bills right now. I have the fat guy sleep machine somewhere where I owe $1,000 on that I haven't paid those guys in a long time. But you can't make it a permanent thing. It's just ridiculous. It's disgusting, and it's a big FU. But I thought that this was, he's Joe from Scranton. He was one of us, working type. I thought that this was something that he'd be against. Oddly enough, we're seeing that this is Joe from the land of credit cards.
Yeah, right. He was a bought and paid for by the credit card companies in Delaware. But and the idea that he's a working class guy, he's been in the Senate since he was 29. He's 78. When was he a working class guy? Never.
Jerry, he bought that 38-acre huge Colossus mansion back in the 80s when it was a lot cheaper. So you're not allowed to use that.
If we had a media, they would look into. He's got 4 homes. They're all like worth millions. His big house that he lives on, big mansion, is worth like $3 million. The guy has been working in government for 50 years, and he lives like, he's like some movie producer or something. He's just got untold millions. I mean, let's face it. You kick back 10% to the big guy, it adds up after a while. And boy, is it going to add up now that he's got the big job.
Are you suggesting there's a tie between China influence and the United States government, Jerry? Because I'm
going to get to that, because can you imagine? And I know we'll play this game every day, but you really have to, because it's never been so glaring. Could you imagine if the big story broke that, I don't know, Don Trump Jr., Eric Trump, or even Matt Gaetz, or Josh Hawley, or Tom Cotton, or Jim Jordan were banging a Chinese spy, and we're on the Intelligence Committee. Eric Swalwell is one of the most detestable members of Congress. Before we found out about this, if you ever seen him on TV, he's famous for 2 things: for leading and lying in the big Russian hoax. As he pointed out, he's on 2 of the committees that investigated Russian collusion, which we now know was a hoax, was made up from the beginning by Hillary, and people, useful idiots like Eric Swalwell and Adam Schiff, carried the ball and continued to spread the lie in hopes of damaging the president. They succeeded. It took 3 years. It took much of the attention away from the president. It tainted him. It really did. It tainted him in the midterm. Cost the Republican seats because they were so adamant he was colluding with the Russians. He was a Putin puppet. And if you've seen any of the video, it's incredible. Swalwell flat out says, he's compromised. He's doing Russia's bidding. He's a Putin puppet, all while sleeping with a Chinese spy. As we know, Russia's not the real threat. China is. As John Ratcliffe pointed out, the head of DNI pointed out, China's the second biggest economy in the world. They have and it's growing. They're going to pass us. They're going to have a bigger military than us. Russia's GNP is smaller than Brazil's, Italy's, and the state of Texas. Texas has a bigger GNP than Russia. They're not a threat. They don't have the ability to take us on economically or militarily or any other way. It's made up. It's all made up. China, on the other hand, does. And they have a very sophisticated spy network. We know that. They got college professors planted all over the country, stealing intellectual property. And they have this woman, Feng Feng is her name, who was sent here as a college student in her 30s, and it's like a movie. And this is, again, it's too bad we don't have a media in this country, and we don't have like late night comedians, because until now, Swalwell was known for being a Russian hoaxer and blasting one on live TV. I mean, he farted in a live interview, and everyone heard it, and we had some, and some of us had some laughs at his expense because he's such an a-hole. He's just so.
You make a great point about that, Jerry, how that was never mentioned on late night. Incredible.
And now we know. So he's sleeping with Feng Feng. She's in his office. She's fundraising for him. He's on the intelligence committee. It's like that movie. I forget what it was with Kevin Costner. Was a spy and he was in the Navy, and it all comes together at the end. And you go, holy crap. And there was an intern in his office that she put there. She planted somebody. So they're doing what they set out to do. They're finding a young up-and-coming politician. They're helping him advance. I mean, he was like a city councilor when she met him, and he won a seat in Congress in 2012, won a seat on the intelligence committee, and she's sitting there, laying in bed after, when he's got a full head of steam going, full state of arousal. Tell me what you did at work today, Eric, my love. And he's giving her, state secrets. And now, obviously, the cover-up begins. Everyone on CNN and MSNBC and all the newspapers will say, just a coincidence, it's his private life. It's his private life.
The movie was No Way Out, just in case. The thing is that most of it was done overtly. I mean, it was no secret that she was sent over here from the Chinese government. She became the liaison to the Asian community. She's in academia or in college first and then part of academia. This is happening all over the place. These are not really secrets. And it's so blatant. You heard that Tucker's been playing this guy in China who was giving this Chinese TED talk, essentially saying it's easy. We have people all over the American government. Then Trump came in and we got no more influence, unfortunately. Now Biden's been elected and we're back in. They're celebrating.
They're thrilled. And there's all this sound, there's all this audio of Swalwell saying that China's no threat, China's not an enemy. I mean, he did her bidding. He did their bidding, exactly what they set out to do. If you see this, and again, you're not going to see it on CNN. They're part of the team. But if you see it, it is chilling. You're saying that guy's sleeping with a Chinese spy, and he is parroting Chinese talking points, propaganda. And you're going, holy crap, it works. All they got to do is send over some hot, and she's reasonably hot. Wouldn't you agree?
They have her confirmed of sleeping with 2 mayors, right? Isn't that the thing? Swalwell's not saying whether or not he slept with her at all, but they have her confirmed.
He's wisely not saying.
There's all kinds of pictures of him with her and video and audio of him with her. And when he talks, he does two things. He says, China, Russia owns Trump. He's a Putin puppet. And China's not so bad. They're not bad guys. No, as to quote Joe Biden, they're not bad folks. I mean, it is chilling how they've gotten to these people. And you're right. You heard that Chinese professor on Tucker saying, we got people in the elite, in leadership in the United States. That's why what we're doing is working, because we got people bought and paid for in the U.S. government, and all the people in the audience just kind of laugh and say, "Isn't that great?" And I mean, does anyone doubt that that Joe Biden is compromised? This guy talks about Hunter Biden and how they got to Hunter Biden. They paid him off. They own him.
Right. And even back in the Obama administration, Joe Biden said he fully understands China's one-child policy. Fully understands it.
Oh, Jesus. Which means the policy, also known as the policy of aborting all the girls.
Right.
We have a policy in China where we abort all the baby girls. And
disposing of the girls one way or another.
And Joe Biden, the devout Catholic, says, I understand. I support it. I support that policy. Abort all the girls. It's madness. And I just wish everybody had, some level of concern. I'm just going to guess, I haven't seen it. I would never see it, but I'm going to guess that Jimmy Kimmel's still, kind of boring. Can't find anything to joke about. A prominent Democrat is banging a Chinese spy, and a Chinese professor saying, we got Hunter Biden by the short hairs, and we got connections at the very top of the U.S. government. Can't think of a thing to joke about, to poke fun at. Can you? It's just too bad.
Yes. No, I do have Colbert actually had a thoughtful analysis of this situation.
I just want to take a moment to drink you in.
That's Colbert with Obama saying, I don't want to talk to you. I just want to drink you in. You know what? I just want to slurp up every ounce of you. I want to smear you all over me. Oh man, these people, they're such creeps.
No, in fairness, this is like the one time where, like, the vaccine out right now, everything going on with COVID, it's like the one time you can kind of understand a lack of coverage because of all the shit going on in the world. Wouldn't you say? Maybe not CNN, who does it 24/7, but like the nightly news is only going to be talking about a vaccine. You know what I mean? Like, they're
going to be talking about a vaccine, saying they're going to call it the Joe Biden vaccine. Oh, Joe Biden, he got us a vaccine. What a hero.
Everybody turned into Keith Olbermann 3 years ago saying, good sir, you need to put your country over party for once. This is a foreign power, messing with the very fabric of our democracy. I got it all over social media everywhere. This isn't even about politics. This goes to something bigger. Remember, they all carefully read the Mueller report about Russian cooperation. They went to bistros and took a picture of the Mueller report next to a glass of Cabernet. Right. I'm just nonpartisan, unbiasedly going to read this thoughtfully because I'm a concerned American. All that's gone.
We spent $35 million on taxpayer money. It's 17 lawyers on Mueller's team to investigate something that was made up out of thin air by Hillary Clinton and advanced by Obama and Biden to damage the incoming administration. It worked. Again, it lasted 3 years, and it's just like, oh well, just drop it. We're moving on. We're done. It worked. Trump's out. We're moving on. You're going, wait a second. Have you ever seen the compilation of Rachel Maddow talking about these Russian guys? She was the lead. She was worse than Alex Jones. She bought in completely on the conspiracy. She's like the leading intellectual on the left. I mean, her ratings are good. People are watching her. She was duped. And I'm not sure she was, a witting partner in all this. She just fell for it all. Yeah, Russian.
That was too good to be true because you had how could Trump have won? There's no way Americans wouldn't be sophisticated like me and not vote for Hillary. There must have been a reason. They never reckoned with the fact that, there's a whole big country out there of people who want a chance at the American dream and just, fairness for the hard work. No. It had to be something more nefarious. Facebook ads suddenly did it in Russia. It was so lazy and so dumb from the beginning. If you told somebody 10 years ago that they would blame an election on Russians, really?
Right. Yes. He's, and then you go to the dossier with he had hookers peeing on the bed because that's the bed Obama slept in with his wife. That's all just made up. It's just made up. And we go, okay, you got us. We're moving on. Speaking of moving on, that was a long
yeah, but Jerry, moving on,
regression.
That essentially, was the whole impeachment thing was an extension of the Russia thing, because the impeachment was made for Russia. Schiff built the impeachment for Russia. So when they brought Mueller in and he had no idea what was in his report, Schiff said, crap, what do we overlay this on? Give me something. And they found a bad phone call. Which
is a good transition by you. I want to get to that, because consider this. I stole this from Scott Adams, and it's a great point. What did they impeach Trump for? He was actually impeached. And people, every time I dump on Mitt Romney on Twitter, I get defenders of his. He still has supporters around, at least around all over the place. Some people like squishes. They like backstabbing traitors like Mitt Romney. I hate him. But anyway, they defend him. And I point out, he voted to impeach the president. He wanted to remove him from office for what? At worst. I mean, just take their accusations at face value and say they had merit. They said he withheld aid for political reasons, correct? Right. He was, obviously he wanted them to investigate his potential opponent, because as we all know, the Biden crime family is corrupt. Hunter Biden was in it up to his eyeballs, and he said they should look into that, and he withheld aid. What did Nancy Pelosi do a month ago? What did she do? She withheld aid for political reasons and recently admitted it. Mm-hmm. She did it to affect the presidential election. Now, I don't know about you, like military aid for Ukraine, I don't really give a damn. It's Ukraine. It doesn't mean anything to me. The aid that Nancy Pelosi withheld, on the other hand, was aid to these restaurant owners that we've seen all over the place. That guy in Michigan who owned the coffee shop that was going out of business, who begged for aid from the federal government, said they're giving, they could give every family $20,000. Instead, they chose to give it to the Kennedy Center and Harvard and TB12, and all these connected businesses and special interests. The woman in California, Angela Marsden, whose business was shut down by Garcetti, and right next door, some stupid sitcom from NBC had a catering setup where they were allowed to eat and touch each other, and no one cared, because it was Hollywood, it was the movie industry, and she was a little person and was irrelevant to someone like Garcetti. I've talked to restaurateurs, gym owners, and they're ruined. They're ruined. Mm-hmm. And Nancy Pelosi used them for political reasons, and there is no price to pay. They impeach a president because he allegedly withheld aid for political reasons to Ukraine, which, who gives a damn? It's Ukraine. She withheld aid from actual Americans. Yeah, businesses, owners of business, people trying to pay their bills, people trying to avoid eviction, people trying to hold on to their homes. And she said, no money for you, orange man bad, screw you, I'm going to withhold this until after the election. And in that span of a month, still month plus going on, in that span, how many thousands of businesses went under? How many thousands of people lost their homes, lost their cars? How many people, took drugs, and how many people killed themselves? And we'll get to that, because I realize someone like Nancy Pelosi does not care how many people,
no, it's just like that mall Santa who said the kid couldn't get a Nerf gun. The kid's crying, and the mall Santa goes, "What's wrong, buddy?" What's wrong?
That's right. That would be that's the quote from Nancy. What's wrong? Right. She's got a fridge full of gourmet ice cream. She's worth $300 million somehow. Lives in a big mansion. Flies private. Doesn't wear a mask. Gets her hair done whenever she demands they open up the salon. The hell with you. She's all set. She feels no pain. She was determined to defeat the orange man. She did, so it was all worth it. I would love to know, and there's no way of knowing, how many thousands of people lost their gyms, their small businesses, their whatever, their construction companies in that month and a half that she withheld the aid. How many? And because we have a corrupt media, because everyone was agreed with her goal, many people agreed with her goal, which is get rid of Trump, there's hardly any complaints at all. And Trump got impeached for much less. And that snake Romney voted for it. He went along with, Adam Schiff and Swalwell and Pelosi and Schumer and Liz Warren and the rest of these cynical, heartless, cruel people. Mitt went along with it. If you want to know why I hate Mitt, there you go.
Yeah, well, and for saving the Olympics, actually, and whatever that was. But not only that, but remember, you talked about it yesterday, too. And then you have this crack addict on SNL laughing at working people in New York because they want to keep their bar open.
Hold on. Turtle Boy said nobody cares about Pete Davidson. Nobody, just me. He said, I'm the only one who cares about him. Meanwhile, I'm looking at Twitter, I'm watching cable, and it's all anyone's talking about is Pete Davidson. Turtle Boy thinks I'm the only one who cares. We'll talk about that when I have him on again. But it's not Pete Davidson. He's symbolic of Hollywood. This punk, by the way, this talentless, drug-addled punk has a job, gets paid a lot, and sits there and dumps on people who are just trying to save their business and says they're babies who, by the way, deny the Holocaust, which I don't quite understand why he would accuse them of denying the Holocaust. But anyway, that idiot, that asshole has the gall to dump on these people who just want to survive. That's the divide. And I talked about this all week is think of that, Shattuck. You're a historian. I mean, this is supposed to be an edgy, rebellious, anti-establishment comedian who's never said anything friggin' funny in his life. And he sides with the lockdown lunatics. He sides with Cuomo and de Blasio against people, waitresses and bartenders in his own neighborhood.
Yeah, well, yes, he's essentially siding against his father. His father was one of those guys who was actually somebody worth something, somebody who did something, somebody with a bit of honor. And this piece of crap just goes around just taunting people as if he's. It would be something if he had any kind of talent. If he was ever funny once, there would be something to it. But this kid has no skills. He's got nothing. Like Kevin Federline is like a Renaissance man compared to this useless idiot. It's incredible. And yeah, he's a good kind of barometer of the other side. And this naive, and he's a soft kid too.
Well, the problem with guys like him is it's not even a problem that he says that and has the opinion. We can all have them. It's that the other side is voiceless in this, right? Like they're protesting and they're fighting, but they don't have a platform. They don't go on network television on Saturday nights. You know what I mean? Like they
do. It's something. I mean, to be fair, the woman in LA, Angela Marston, she made the rounds on Fox. I don't know how many of the networks, the left-wing networks gave her a voice, but that video went viral where she showed you the tent from the catering company doing the TV show, and then he showed her tent. That was pretty powerful.
That's not the same.
One of the most effective.
These guys have a defender in like James Woods. You know what I mean? Like there's literally nobody out there in a public front-facing way having their back with a large platform. Outside of like random social media guys, you know what I mean? That's the problem.
It's true that you have now all these forces working in concert. And again, it's academia, it's media, it's Hollywood, it's Silicon Valley, it's big tech, all in concert against the little guy.
Right.
And it's this great shift where the Republicans, or at least Trump supporters, are the working class, the little guy, the bar owner. You saw that rally outside the bar. There were Trump flags along with American flags. And then you have TV and movies, academia, big tech, all working with the government to crush the little guy. They're working to help Amazon and Apple and Target and Walmart, where Trump is working to help Mac's Public House or the Pineapple Hill Grill. These little business people working their asses off just to survive. And you've seen the numbers, Target and Amazon and Walmart are thriving. And that's okay with, Joe Biden supporters. That's okay with Pelosi. And I have the numbers right here. I just Googled it. The latest restaurant numbers are incredible. 100. Here it is. This is from, I believe, the New York. This is from Seattle Times, but this New York Times has a similar story. This came out 2 days ago, Larry Bird's birthday. More than 110,000 restaurants have closed permanently or for a long term across the country as the industry grapples with the devastating impact of the COVID-19 pandemic. That's the lead in the Seattle Times. This is a Bloomberg story. 110,000 restaurants, more than 1 in 6 nationally. This is according to the National Restaurant Association. 10,000 in October, just 1 month, 10,000 restaurants went under. And you don't hear crap about this. It's like, yeah, whatever. We're trying to keep people safe. I mean, in Massachusetts, Baker went back to phase 3 yesterday, said no more groups of 10 in restaurants. You can't have a group of more than 6. And I saw a couple of, the Ayanna Pressley was tweeting that it wasn't enough. I'm going, what? 110,000 restaurants gone, and almost every single one of them is a small business. There are a couple of chains, as we know.
In a lot of these restaurants are restaurants that a lot of them from Boston. There's some from Central Square, but a lot of these restaurants are restaurants that were never going to go anywhere, that would always be there. And like to me, it's the China Moon in Stoneham was a restaurant near where I grew up that was always going to be there. It was sturdy, it was durable, no little overhead, and it's dead. We're losing all these kind of these marquee places that have been just old standards forever. They can't. Everything's going to fold. Nobody can afford to be open. I mean, people are burning their own money, and one of the reasons that they're burning their own money is because, and I know you're thrilled, Jerry, that Fauci has joined the Biden team.
Oh yeah, no, he's such an important voice.
Jerry, let me play this. This is from last March. This is Anthony Fauci, and this is with Jonathan Karl, telling us how long we're going to have to stay in our basements, essentially.
Can you try to help us understand when will life get back to normal? How long does this last?
It's going to be a matter of, several weeks to few months for sure.
Well, I think it's been a few months, right?
Well, that's March when he told us, do not hesitate to go on a cruise. And by the way, you don't need to wear a mask. I mean, it's incredible. This is the foremost authority in infectious diseases who thought in March it was A-okay to go on a cruise. He doesn't know what he's talking about. He changes his mind every day. And I realize, circumstances change, but you would think a guy, the foremost expert in viruses would know that it's probably not smart to go on a cruise or, by the way, to hook up with a Tinder date, which is another thing he told you to go ahead and do. He has no idea what he's talking about, but everyone loves him because, he's good on TV. And now, and he's, 80. He turns 80 on Christmas Eve. 80.
Right. Everybody loves him. Had Trump said that he loved him from the beginning, then everybody would hate him. But this guy, Fauci, he does 4 hours of TV a day. Anybody can book him. I could get him on the Burn Barrel podcast. He is the most available guy I have ever seen. I'm serious. He's everywhere.
Well, do you hear the big news, though, Shattuck? He's going to take the vaccine on TV, which is amazing. They must have done some incredible arm twisting to get him to appear on TV.
Him and De Niro are doing it together, right?
Yeah, he and De Niro. I don't even know why that's a big deal. So what? He takes the vaccine. Any 80-year-old with a brain is going to take the vaccine. And it's very, very important for them. I could see a young, skinny person like Cullinane saying, nah, I don't like shots. I'm good. But if you're 80, of course you're going to take the freaking vaccine. And why does that matter if an old guy takes the vaccine on TV? I mean, who does that convince? I don't know. Anyway, it is remarkable the hardship that people are suffering through and the lack of compassion from supposed good compassionate liberals like Nancy Pelosi and Gavin Newsom and Charlie Baker and the rest of these frauds, these autocrats that do not care. You know what? If 110,000 restaurants go out of business, there'll still be some chain. There'll still be I joked one day and said, I bet, at least Applebee's will survive, but they're losing. A bunch of Applebee's have gone under too.
Yeah.
It's,
it's going to be unrecognizable. I mean, restaurants can't survive this. How can they survive? It's been too long. Now it's not just about they're not paying the rent, but now they've been stiffing vendors forever. They can't keep a payroll going for this long. It's done. You've suffocated this thing. the entire industry. You've suffocated them all.
What level of celebrity do you think you have to be the voice of kind of a dissenting opinion? Like, George Clooney probably owns 7 restaurants that are impacted by this, but he's scared shitless to go out and say something right now. You know what I mean? Like, it's so out of touch that he doesn't know he's invested in 7 restaurants and just shows how illegal.
And it's happening a little bit, thankfully, and we're seeing it. We saw it, in the last week or so. Matthew McConaughey said this is bullcrap. People who work for a living are being treated like third world people, and are, anybody who tries to advocate for them is being canceled. And this is, people are dividing along class lines, and some celebrities are saying this is ridiculous here. We're treating poor people who struggle.
But Clooney's a good one. He's a billionaire because of whatever tequila. Gave all his best friends $1 million in cash, which is nice, but lives in Italy and sits there and says, "Oh, it's so great to get rid of Trump." And you're going, do you know what the hell this country's going through? Do you have any idea the kind of pain the working class is suffering through right now? And the answer, of course, is no. But would you like to see him cut his hair with a Flowbee? He's so funny, that George Clooney.
It's funny.
And this is like a real.
Italy is a Trump.
Yeah, this is like a real like, you cannot drive down the street right now without seeing a neighbor, a friend, their business impacted, the restaurant you go to. So to not have any backup in that situation, it's not like voting for Trump versus Biden and you're scared shitless of the PR. Like, I get that aspect of it. This is fucking personal, and that's what's sad. That's what's sad to me. That people,
and I mean, it's permanent. These restaurants, they're not taking 6 months off. They're gone.
Yep.
And the guys that own them, women that own them, are going to have to get jobs doing something else. Again, there's always that Amazon, they're hiring, they're all. So all these guys who put their life savings, took a chance, rolled the dice. We talked to Chef Mike a couple of weeks ago. $300,000 he has invested in a restaurant, and Charlie Baker's determined to put him out of business. And if he does, you're going to see Chef Mike working at, UPS or working at Target, because he has to make a living. He lost his life savings, and guys like him, they can't afford to try again, even if they want to. They're just wiped out permanently. And arrogant SOBs like, Ayanna Pressley say, whatever, government will send you a check, just get in line and put your palm out, and the government will give you, as AOC says, just send everyone, what did she say, $2,000 a month?
Right.
Just send everyone $2,000 a month. Tell them to stay home.
So Chef Mike will be able to get the job at UPS as long as he's got his vaccination passport in order, Jerry. Right. So,
it is a whole new economy, and it's frightening. But again, you can only complain so much because 80 million people voted to go with China Joe. So we'll see how it goes once Trump gets everyone vaccinated. Did you see Biden's plan, by the way? It's so unbelievable. Everything he says is like a friggin' cliche. It's like a fortune cookie stuff. I mean, everything he says is just so trite and banal. I hate the word banal.
No, Jerry, it's not true, because Casey Hunt said that we don't have to fact check a president finally.
Right.
The media told me that finally there's somebody who doesn't lie all the time, that no more fact checking is necessary. All done.
And she said that when he refused to answer questions. She asked if he'd met with Mitch McConnell. She said, "I'm not going to answer that." She said, "Isn't it refreshing to talk to a guy who doesn't lie?" Joe Biden doesn't lie. The guy, Mr. Corn Pop himself, doesn't lie. He lied to her, or he refused to answer a question, and she said, "It's so refreshing." That could be the most, the greatest example of just the utter.
Isn't that incredible? They teach journalism, Jerry. They teach journalism. Where is Daniel Dale, in a shallow grave somewhere? What about, he was the up-and-coming rising star of CNN because of his fact-checking. Bang, he's been put on ice. Done.
Here's Biden yesterday. He says, "Today I'm announcing key COVID priorities for the first 100 days of my administration." You got this, write this down, Shattuck. Three key priorities. Everyone wears a mask. 100 million vaccinations. 3, reopen the schools. Let's go one by one. Everyone already wears a mask. I tweeted out the numbers. It's like 97% of people. In fact, the places where you have the most cases now, like California, LA, they're all wearing masks. The mask compliance in California is like 98%. New York, it's like 97%. Everyone's already wearing a mask. B, 100 million vaccinations. Well, relax, Joe. Trump took care of that. We're good. He's good. He's got the rollout ready. People are already going to get the vaccinations, probably 50 million before you even take office. And you just keep the thing going. Free, reopen the schools. Who's keeping the schools closed?
Right.
Who do you think the Subaru girl in Oregon voted for? It's your party who's keeping the schools closed. This is such worthless gobbledygook. Everyone wear a mask. All I ask is 100 days. Everyone's wearing masks. Everywhere they're wearing masks, people are still getting sick. But anyway.
It's so in right when you could use the fact checkers, because Biden's saying with 100 days, I believe we could seriously affect the rate of COVID infections. And I believe, of course, in the first 100 days, it's going to go down. And as if this isn't just a shell game, and the media is saying, oh, okay, wow, he's got a plan. This is a guy with a plan. It's so refreshing. He's got a plan. I got to say, though, Jerry, we did touch on it. I am excited about the new cabinet member.
And I'm grateful to the members of my COVID team that I'd like to introduce to you now, who will lead the way. I'm really proud of this group. For Secretary of Health and Education Service, I nominated Javier Bashir, excuse me.
Secretary of Health and Education.
So he invented a new cabinet post, and he named a guy he has no idea what his name is.
He's really proud of Javier Bashir. He's really proud of all the Javiers.
A pro-abortion radical, if ever there was one. That's the kind. I suppose he's throwing a bone to the radicals out there, the Nancy Pelosi wing of the pro-Planned Parenthood wing that just loves this guy, but he won't pass the Senate, and that'll be fun to watch. But I want to get to one more thing on this before we talk some football, and it's 16-year-old Spencer Smith from Brunswick, Maine. Did you hear of Spencer Smith from Brunswick, Maine? I know this isn't important to the lockdown lunatics that only want to look at the numbers and the spike in cases and the death per million, which is important. I'm not saying it's not, but you got to have some balance here. You are, as we know, lockdowns don't work. And one of the reasons they don't work, one of the reasons they backfire is the collateral damage. And that would be the people whose lives are destroyed. Children who are forced to stay home for a year and sit in front of a computer or not, sleep in front of a computer, who have no human interaction, who don't see their friends, who don't get outside, who don't run around, who don't play sports, who don't make friends. It affects them deeply. I mean, there are kids on the cusp anyway. There are kids. Lots of kids are struggling emotionally, mentally anyway, and these lockdowns push them over the edge into the darkness. And there's millions of cases. And for the most part, the mainstream media will ignore it or downplay it because they're invested in COVID panic. They're invested in the mania that has overtaken most of the media, that we have to battle the virus at all costs. Mm-hmm. And, you and I pay attention to these things. Spencer Smith was the 16-year-old kid from Brunswick, Maine. He killed himself the other day. And his mother just said he couldn't take it anymore. He was a fun-loving kid, said his dad, and he was in pain. He prepared for football. He got stronger. He lifted weights. He was looking forward to football. They canceled tackle football on him. That was devastating. Now, most people, I'm sure, if you're talking to, you name Don Lemon, another guy who's making millions, or you talk to Pete Davidson, who works like 10 minutes a week and makes millions, it'd say, the kid's a baby. Why can't he just stay home and, remote learn and suck it up? Well, he's a kid, and he was a kid, and he was obviously struggling, and the lockdown made it much, much worse. And for whatever reason, I'm sure the parents will struggle with this forever. He thought, suicide was a better alternative than living in this darkness, in this loneliness forever. And the poor kid took his own life. And I know it made the rounds on right-wing Twitter. I know I tweeted about it. But I wonder, and a reporter up in Maine did a terrific job covering it. I'm going to get her name in a second. But he'll be gone, buried, forgotten, moved on, and will it wake anyone up? Will they say, this is collateral damage? If we open the schools, first of all, we know opening the schools is just political. This is this kid's death, I would say, at least partially, is on the hands of the teachers unions.
It was Jackie Mundry in Maine, by the way. Do you want to play this? Let's hear this.
What do you got? What do you got?
Tell me what you're from the news. This is Jackie Mundry from News Center, Maine.
He speaks to his father, correct?
Yep.
Smith. Good. Let's listen to Jackie Mundry, the reporter, and Spencer Smith's dad, Jay.
He's loved by so many that it's hard to believe he was this depressed and he did this.
Last Friday, Spencer Smith left a note for his parents, writing about feeling locked in the house and growing apart from his friends. Then he took his own life. He was just 16 years old. Now, less than a week after losing his son, Jay Smith says our kids and our teenagers need better support during this pandemic, that they need to be back at school and doing extracurricular activities.
The kids need their peers more than ever now.
Pastor Mark Rockwood is the chaplain at the Brunswick Police Department. He responded to the call at the Smiths' home on Friday. He says he's hearing from a lot of teens in his youth group about not being able to see their friends. Some of them saying they have friends who are having dark thoughts, just like Spencer did.
It's already a stressful time for many of them. And now when they don't have the ability to have that social interaction with one another, that puts more added stress on them.
According to
it's awful.
It is so awful, and it makes it worse when I tweeted at this a-hole John Berman on CNN. He went on this rant about people who are against lockdowns, and you just have to. You can't be selfish. You have to just do it. It's what it takes. And I'm thinking, do you have any idea how this affects people? Some people, not everybody, because unlike you blow-dried, brainless piece of. They're not all cashing a big paycheck. They don't all go to work every day. They don't all, keep their, 401k. There's real damage, real pain. And these people, these assholes like Pete Davidson and John Berman and Don Lemon don't care. It's like, it happens. And they focus on the death of 85-year-olds who, if in my experience, the greatest generation, they would say, save the kids. They would say, save the country. We will be okay, rather than saying you have to shut down every segment and voluntarily destroy the greatest economy in the world. Just voluntarily destroy it in the name of protecting the elderly. When in fact you can do both. You could protect the elderly, and Spencer Smith could still be in school. He could still be playing football. He could still be with his friends and still be alive. It's amazing. We just say, you know what? This thing is really, really bad. And look at the numbers. There's 2,247 more cases today. Let's shut it all down. And if Spencer Smith dies, he's just collateral damage.
Yeah. So for our newspaper, we talk about every 2 weeks to health officials in Middlesex County in Massachusetts. And we're talking to them tomorrow, as a matter of fact, from various hospitals. And their new problem, the new crisis they have now, are mental health issues. They said that there's self-harm. Kids are hurting themselves from age 6 and up, generally. Kids are hurting themselves, cutting themselves, trying to kill themselves. And also, people are having nervous breakdowns, and most of it's young people, and they're just checking themselves into hospitals. And hospitals aren't psych wards. They're not set up for this. So now these beds are being taken up by these kids who are undergoing these mental breakdowns. It's incredible. It's incredible. And unfortunately, one of the problems is in the household, you've got parents who are scared to death of the disease as well. So up the street from me, we've got the family up the street was playing croquet last week in their yard, and all of them had masks on. Mom, dad, little Jimmy and little Sally had little masks on. It's like, what do you do? Why are you scaring the hell out of your kids in your own yard playing croquet? You have the mask on because you could kill us, Johnny, just so you know that. Good night. Have a good sleep now. It's ridiculous. And I can't imagine if you're somebody who has an only child and you're really not letting them play with anybody, I've got 4 little ones, and they play illegally with the neighbors next door. And so they're not really like they've got to play. They get to play, and they get little injuries, and they're having fun, and they have Nerf guns and all that stuff. But if you have an only child or you've cloistered your kid alone, I can't imagine the damage that you've done. Nobody.
It's child abuse. It is absolutely child abuse, and we've talked about restaurant owners and bar owners and gym owners who are ruined their life savings. And by the way, their children, their families are affected as well. So there's a lot of victims here. But when you think of keeping a kid home from school and taking away his social life and taking away his sports and all interaction, and just saying, it's what it takes, we care about the elder. Here's the numbers, by the way. We go over the numbers a lot. Would you care to guess where the state of Maine ranks in the United States in death per 1 million? The most important barometer with the most important barometer.
Bottom 10%.
That would be number 50. Number 50 in the United States.
It's one of the lowest, I'd say.
They have had 239 total deaths.
Hmm.
The population 1.3 million. 239 total deaths. And I'm going to just guess. I don't have the number in front of me. The average age, 80 something. And 16-year-old Spencer Smith couldn't go to school, couldn't play football, couldn't see his friends because 239 Mainers in the last 10 months died with the coronavirus. And again, I'm going to guess the average age was 80, average comorbidities, 2 or 3 more, people. And if there were no virus, many of those 239 would have passed away for other reasons. That's how it works. I'm going to guess the total number under 40 would be 10, 12. I'll get you the numbers. I will. But the idea that you destroy the heart, the soul, the psyche of a child because 239 old folks would die with coronavirus in 10 months
right
in your state is utter madness. We've just abandoned kids like Spencer Smith and just said, who cares? You don't matter to us. We've lost our minds. We've lost our freaking minds.
Right. And at the end of the day, we've taken all these measures. We've suicided our businesses, our lifestyles, our livelihoods, the mental health of the kids, if not the adults as well. And we don't know why this virus acts like it does. We don't know. We don't know why, for instance, Florida is having a lower infection rate than the rest of the country. We don't know why it hit part of the country before. Now it's hitting a different part. And now cases are up here, but they're not up there. We think we know. We think we have an idea, but we didn't see this coming. We played the Fauci audio. He said this virus will be around for a few weeks, if not a couple of months, and then it's going away. But no, that didn't happen. We don't know. What we do know for sure is that if you suicide the economy, there will be human casualties. And, for generations, as a matter of fact. That we know for sure. But we've just thrown out what we've known for sure because it's more fashionable to overreact to what we don't know for sure, which is the coronavirus. And Fauci even mentioned that himself. He likes the idea of overreacting, he said, because overreacting means that...
And Fauci doesn't care about people like Spencer Smith. He doesn't care about drug overdoses, unemployment, alcoholism, domestic violence. All this stuff is irrelevant. He's an epidemiologist. He just says, oh, look at the numbers and let's see the spike here and this. And that's fine. He has a place at the table. But the idea that a guy like that makes the decisions when someone like Spencer Smith, when millions of children are irrelevant to him, he doesn't care about, kids suddenly stuck at home saying, you know what, maybe I'll, try, maybe I'll drink some beer, smoke some weed and go from there, see how it goes. I mean, they said Spencer Smith's father said he just let himself go. He was in good shape. Thing working out, ready for football. And once they canceled football, he didn't even ride his bike anymore. He said all he wanted to do was sleep and hang around alone at home. And it spiraled downward, obviously, and he ended his life. And he's one of tens of thousands, if not hundreds of thousands, of kids' lives who've been destroyed, some permanently, immeasurably, because they're just, these forgotten victims. They're forgotten politically. They weren't very useful. So,
which is why we need
shutting down schools. And still to this day, you have teachers unions, these awful human beings, these teachers union people saying, no, we're not going back. And by the way, you know what Biden's plan? to open the schools up includes money for the teachers unions, more money. He says, we need more money. We need more money to open up the schools. I'm thinking, more money? They've gotten money for nothing for 9 months. I think they've gotten enough money. I think it's now the time to go back and earn that money. But no, Biden needs to pay off his most important constituents. But all right, we got to move on here. I want to talk about Shea Concrete before we talk a little football. And I know Shattuck loves talking football. But before we do that, let me tell you about Shea, what Shea could do for you. Shea can build you a building, a precast concrete building. If you're looking at this kind of thing, this is the choice for you. Shea's precast concrete buildings. I got a question for you, Shattuck, as a football expert, and Cullinane as a moron that he is. A matter of minutes before last night's football game, another, I wouldn't say entertaining, but another football game, Tuesday night football. We had Monday afternoon football. We got Tuesday night football, Thursday night football, tomorrow night, the Patriots and Rams. I love it. Every night you get a football game. You don't get any fans. You don't get, this quite the same effect as, pre-COVID, but it's football and I enjoy it. So last night, one of the big themes was Des Bryant returning to play for the Ravens against the Cowboys, beat up on his old team. He was in warm-ups. He was running around, ready to go. They pulled him aside. They said, sorry, bub, no football for you. You tested positive. Now, that's like the first time that I remember someone getting yanked off the field with a positive test. And he immediately started tweeting that he was giving up. He was thinking of quitting. And then he started drinking on Twitter and doing like toasts and asking people to drink with him, and people on Twitter.
By the way, he's a rational dude. Like he's not a crazy person.
Right. This is Antonio Brown we're talking about.
Yeah, exactly.
But he was crushed, and I don't blame him. He's getting ready to play his old team. And they pull him off the field and say no. And I mean, he'll probably never get to play the Cowboys again. And maybe he's 32 years old now. He might, go through with his threat to quit, right? We'll find out maybe today whether he's serious about it. And if he is, I mean, he's got to quarantine anyway, but how exactly, and maybe this was addressed in the broadcast, I was, in and out. How exactly is he the only one? Because we saw what happened like in Denver. One quarterback test positive, the other three were in the room with him. So they couldn't play. They had to sit out for a week. How did the rest of the Ravens get away with playing if their teammate who was with them, like in the locker room on warm-ups, probably, in the training room, in the weight room, in the bathroom, they were with him, right? Why do they all get to play, but he didn't?
Isn't that against all the things that we've been learning and hearing that the NFL was planning to do? Well, I mean, what would the look have been if they just canceled the game on the spot, though, I guess?
Well, I mean, I thought what they would do is like maybe when you first heard it, you said, whoa, this is big. It was one of those Twitter bombs from, I think, from Schefter. And you're saying they're going to yank. He would seen on the field before the game hugging and shaking hands with several Cowboys players and coaches. So he greeted all his former coaches, former teammates on the field, hugged them, and they all got to play, and he didn't. It's strange, and now I guess we'll see.
How does it make sense, though? The Jets had to, send everybody home, when somebody had COVID, right, just for hanging out?
I guess we'll see today. What happens if we find out that he was the super spreader, and half the Ravens and half the Cowboys all get the virus, but it doesn't matter. As we talked about yesterday, the media made a big deal about all the people who've been infected around Trump, not by Trump, but around Trump. And the list is like 30 of them, again, Kayleigh McEnany and Mark Meadows and Melania Trump and Barron Trump and everybody around Trump has gotten it. And they're all fine. They're all fine. None was put
my man Chris Christie, Jerry, who I like very much.
Who's an example, a hero to you.
Yes, he is. I like that. That's a good trend. Chris Christie, good going. Even Rudy's is kind of a fat. And
Rudy's, I don't know if he's fat, but he's not healthy looking, and he's 76. And Rudy's tweeting already that he's fine. So if all these people, including fat people and old people and sickly people, and if they're all fine, I mean, at some point you have to say, yeah, so they got the virus. So what? See you in a week, right? See you in a week. And if the Ravens or Cowboys get it, you just say, you got You got backups. They play. You sit out, especially if you're the Cowboys and you're not going anywhere. You take a week off. We'll see you in a week. It's not that big a deal, especially when you're young and in great shape. I mean, people aren't, I shouldn't say people aren't dying. Lots of people are dying.
Yes.
Lots of old folks are dying. Lots of obese people are dying. But nobody in the NFL is dying. Nobody, in professional sports is dying.
Did they take anybody else out of the game last night? I didn't see.
No.
I didn't see if they did. Are you to,
Unless
so?
they didn't mention it.
Isn't that NFL protocol to once somebody tests positives, they go into like deep dive contact tracing mode? And I would assume that if you're going to go through that process of contact tracing, you would say to yourself, "Okay, he hugged X on the field. That guy's out." You know what I mean? Like,
There's got to be some kind of wink thing when they get close to game time and they're like, "We're not doing any more of this right now. We're not. We're starting the game here. We can't do any more of this." But my man Chris Christie, I think this is. I mean, what an affirmation, by the way, that the anti-fat movement led by Jerry Callahan has been thwarted. Finally, I think Christie should wear the baseball uniform again that he looked so good in a few years ago. Jerry,
he's in the outs though. He wants Trump to concede, right? He's no longer in the inner circle. Trump doesn't care about him anymore. But Rudy should be out soon, and then you're going to say, "Geez, if that guy can beat it, if that sickly old bastard can beat it, there's hope for us all." But I will find out today. We'll find out today if today or the next couple of days if other Ravens, if it turns out that everybody he hugged got sick. Won't that be wild?
Yeah.
And by the way,
and they did nothing about it. They knew it was probably going to happen. They did nothing.
I'm looking at a story. You can get John Harbaugh talked about it on NFL.com. They have Harbaugh going through the timeline of when he get tested positive, when they yanked him off the field. It obviously didn't matter. If you saw the game, the Cowboys are pathetic. The Ravens ran for almost 300 yards, just had their way with the pathetic Cowboy defense. It's always fun, even after years of them sucking. It's kind of fun to watch the Cowboys struggle and see Jerry Jones and other people watch the Cowboys just suck.
Jerry Jones is a good man. Jerry,
is he?
Good Republican, good man.
I don't really have a big problem with him, but I can't say I've ever spent one day in my life rooting for the Cowboys. Just something you don't do. You grow up hating the Cowboys, and you never quite. I
like the Romo TO season. That was an exciting season. No, it wasn't TO. Yeah, it was TO.
TO, yes.
It's funny, Jerry, how when I attempt to really talk football,
yes,
how it takes the oxygen out of the room.
You like that, Suze. Just talk about how much you like Romo on play-by-play. That's all you need to do. Don't worry about it.
All right. I guess we'll find out how if Des Bryant was a super spreader. Boy, we had so much to get to yesterday, and you weren't here, but there was a quarterback for the UNLV team, the Running Rebels. The quarterback, he was caught eating sushi off a naked girl on the show Below Deck. He did it for a TV show.
That's my show, by the way. That's one of my top 5 shows. Yeah, Below Deck.
You like that?
Yep.
I saw them once filming it. I saw the boat they were on in St. Martin.
Wow, nice.
Yeah.
Yes, this is in Antigua. Yes, where I went on my honeymoon. Go on.
I went on my honeymoon to Antigua.
Oh, look at that! Isn't that
great? Where'd you stay? I think the hotel we stayed in got destroyed by a hurricane. But
we did the dumb sandals route. It was easy.
Really?
Michael Scott sandals. Yeah.
Wow.
Yes.
That was a few years after we did, but we were in the same place, and I can't wait to go back someday. But
yes,
he ate sushi off a naked girl's body, and he got in trouble and had to apologize for it. And I would rank that number one on the list of insincere apologies of all time.
Yes.
I would put that Ryan Leaf was number one because he read it off a piece of paper, crumbled up and threw it in the locker. Remember that?
Yeah.
That was the least sincere apology ever. But this guy apologizing for eating sushi off a naked girl's body, that would be, I don't think he really meant it, Chad.
His name wasn't even on the show. Like it was just a group of rich, that's the premise of the freaking show, but just a group of rich people on a boat, and you never knew that there was a star quarterback from UNLV on there. And I guess obviously his face was on there. He didn't even talk, for Christ's sake. So it's just so irrelevant. It's just,
and it doesn't affect him anyway. Did he violate any NCAA rules when he did that?
He did not. No.
And I don't think there's a lot of public shaming for a guy that ate sushi off a naked girl. Max Gilliam is his name. Max Gilliam had to apologize, and he did it. I think he did it on Twitter too. A long apology is not who I am. And most of the reaction I saw on Twitter is like, "Oh, I hate sushi. That's gross."
Sushi's wonderful. I have no problem with the guy doing that. Sushi's wonderful. By the way, what's the harm? Is that a bad thing?
Look.
Yeah, I've heard of it before doing that, but is it immoral to eat sushi?
He said, "I would like to apologize for my poor judgment." So I guess it was poor judgment. While on the TV show Below Deck, and I acknowledge that I've made a mistake that I will learn from. Well, it was not my idea nor any of my friends' idea to eat sushi off a model.
No.
I should have exercised better judgment and declined the idea immediately when it was brought up to the producers. This is not a reflection on my character or the way I was raised, nor a reflection on the culture of UNLV football. I would like to humbly move past this and focus my time and energy on our game against University of Hawaii this weekend. Thank you, Max Gilliam.
He should apologize for being an asshole, just in the sense of like allowing, like, it's just stupid. Like, would you ever be comfortable in that situation doing that with just a human being, like just laying on the table? Really?
That's not as if he was, blowing lines.
No,
I'm just talking about like
friends just having a good time, a few drinks, eating some sushi. Yeah.
Unless I knew that she was very well compensated for lying naked with sushi on top of her body, then I would. Yeah, I would.
James, she wasn't handcuffed to the radiator. Of course,
yes, I know. I'm just saying. It's just I don't know. Sorry, I don't like. It feels like we're belittling.
Wow, it's like you're Alan Alda over here. It's not right.
Yeah, not right. I mean, did you get to see nudity on Below Deck?
No, you don't. No, that's Bravo. This is PC reality TV. There was nothing. It was
at least he wasn't doing lines off a 14-year-old goes naked ass like Hunter Biden.
Would never happen. That could never happen. And
I can't even remember. That probably took up 15 seconds of the show.
So, does the woman lie on her stomach or her back?
On her back.
On her back.
Yes.
And then
off her, breasts. Where's the sushi?
Where's the wasabi?
She's probably got tape on her nipples, right? Like that has to be it.
Where's the wasabi? And where is the soy sauce?
Guys, I'm telling you, I don't have all the answers for this. Like I said, it's not a situation I'm personally comfortable with. So,
do they have the chef there flipping the stuff? Like they do in the Japanese restaurant.
Not on that one.
I don't know, but I'm rooting for Max Gilliam. I don't think this was a real lack of judgment. He's a college kid having a good time. She's a willing adult, right? A consenting adult.
Yes.
Not like a child, like with Hunter Biden. But anyway, good luck to Max Gilliam. You already played the game, right? Because it happened a week ago. But good job, Max Gilliam. I would absolutely. I like sushi. I'm with. Surprised you like it. You like it with like maple syrup on it, right, Shattuck? Big guys like you, full-figured individuals like you aren't usually big sushi eaters.
Correct. Chris Christie and I we love sushi, despite it being healthy. I love sushi. It's beautiful. Unfortunately, all the sushi restaurants in Boston are going out of business. So
that's true. That's good, because you can always buy the sushi at Walmart or order it on Amazon. That's our future. You like sushi, call Amazon. They'll have it to you the next day. But anyway, all right, Shattuck. That is Tom Shattuck, host of the Burn Barrel podcast and editor of the Lowell Sun, and all-around astute political analyst and football guy too.
Yes, mostly.
Really, really smart. Are you getting? You have two boys?
I have three. Three
boys. Are any of them getting guns for Christmas? Because I really recommend you can get a good deal on an AR-15 before Biden takes office and bans them. You could probably get a good deal.
It's funny you say that, because up the street is New Hampshire, and they're all sold out of all the good guns. But I'll get them crossbows or something. The baby steps.
Yeah, that's all BB guns. You can get BB guns.
We've got one. We've got BB.
Oh, you do? If the teacher sees them on the Zoom call, though, the kid can be like kicked out of school if she sees the BB gun. You've seen those stories, so be careful with that. Be careful. But we will talk to you again before Christmas. And thank you to Shea Concrete and Allied Paving. And thanks to DCU and Flagship. And thanks to everybody for listening and subscribing. That's the most important thing. You must subscribe and tell a friend. Anything else today, Cullinane? What did we miss?
Well, I thought you were going to go to this when you brought up that last story, but I just want to say asshole of the week because I think we're getting so far in the week we won't cover it. The Vancouver Canucks owner who fired the anthem singer because he attended a rally against the lockdown. Definitely the asshole of the week.
That is amazing. He just attended a rally, correct? He's against lockdowns. He's in favor of small business. He does not want to destroy the economy.
He probably went there and
the owner saw him there and fired him.
Yeah. No, he didn't, and he publicly shamed the guy too. He tweeted at him. What was his exact tweet? It was I'd have to pull it up. It was just something like former. Oh yeah, that's what it was. A snarky asshole. Former Canucks anthem singer, and then hashtag wear a mask. That's the owner of the Canucks tweeted that at the anthem singer. It's ridiculous.
This is the new great divide. Those are in favor of the lockdown and in favor of destroying the economy, and those who want to save people like Angela Marsden or like Spencer Smith. I mean, there's real human victims out there, and these lockdown lunatics just don't care. But I'm sure we'll be getting into that again tomorrow and again every other day until this thing, until Biden takes office and solves it all and fixes it all. But
hey, Jerry, I've got good news for us, by the way.
What's that?
Oh my goodness. Naked sushi is a thing, and it's available in Massachusetts.
Oh, good. And we can confirm by a commenter that the woman in this specific incident did have pasties covering her private.
Oh, thank goodness.
Yeah. So we're safe. There's really no reason to apologize.
Naked sushi is a thing in Massachusetts even now during COVID.
I don't know.
I think it's step 3, phase 4. Charlie Baker said no more naked sushi. So we're out of luck. But
interesting.
Maybe
unfortunately, this is a fellow I'm looking at here, so maybe I've gone into an area here
they're going. Could they have like naked, mashed potatoes with gravy, or naked fried chicken with the, we want sushi. But anyway, maybe we'll do that. We'll have an outing when this all ends. You realize the last time we had an outing was the night before the lockdown in March.
That's wild.
We had the little party for a pizza party for the last Democrat debate at Legacy Club. The next day, the world ended. The next day, everything closed. And it's since then, no one has quite recovered. Maybe someday, but certainly not yet. But anyway, thanks to everybody for listening. I appreciate it. I'm Jerry Callahan. This is the Callahan Podcast, and we will talk to you again tomorrow.